Hi there, it's Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, worldwide TV network, iTube 247 out of Franklin, Tennessee, and on all the iHeart platforms around the world. So this is what I've been waiting for. I've heard nothing but great things about this guy. All right, Mark, who are you and where are you coming from?
Hi, Brian. It's great to be here on your show. And I'm from Birmingham in the UK. My full name is Mark Stephen Pooler, the Global Profile Builder. I am a fun-loving and focused PR expert, and I support high-profile, high-value individuals to be seen, heard, and get noticed with worldwide digital media to become known globally.
See, and I love that. So here's the thing. I love the outside of the US, what's going on, because I feel outside the US, it's got a better pulse of what's going on with things. And then you being out of the UK, there's always, I mean, when you got to cover the queen or see what's going on or who's got a scandal, it's always interesting. I never did gossip, but I was always around those people who did gossip, and it was kind of fascinating to see how they did it. I think the reason why people like what we were doing, because we stayed away from it, but we just focus on whatever was that movie or that CD that was coming out, or just people in general. And I've been very, very grateful and very happy about that. Talk about why you guys are so successful with what you guys created.
Well, firstly, Brian, there's lots of gossip, especially in today's modern world, as you've just mentioned. And the US politics over here with the royal family, there's so much gossip, but much like you, I focus on positivity and shining a light on my clients, and I deal a lot with people in the business world. So I've been lucky enough to support some of the biggest names in business, personal development, celebrities, almost all of the original cast of The Secret movie, which is a law of attraction movie. I have done media coverage for great, great names. I feel the success that I have with my brand and my business of MSPnewsglobal.com, I feel it's won myself because I've got honesty, authenticity, I have great values, trust, loyalty, and that really does help when you're growing a brand and a business. But also the way I do business, like I have just mentioned, I always shine positivity into the world and spotlight my clients' success, and I don't focus much on negativity. And I'm very hardworking and driven, and I feel that's the reason for the success behind my business.
When you created it, did you know it was going to be this big globally, or was that your intention the whole time?
It was always my intention. I always had big, big dreams and big, big goals, but don't be fooled. My social media entrepreneurship journey has been a very slow process. I first started off in network marketing for 2 years. I built a team of 50, recruited into 6 different countries, and that was great. That was when I started to work on personal development and self-improvement, growing a network, etc., etc. But then I wasn't following my passion. I used to watch the speakers at network marketing events sharing their story on stage. And I thought, I have a real powerful, inspirational story. So I left network marketing and become a public speaker. I spoke all over the UK for free. I didn't earn a penny. I launched 2 books, one, Tips to Create the Life You Desire, then the second book, Step Into Your Brilliance, which became #1 in Canada, USA, and the UK. And I spoke on the same stage as Jack Canfield, but I was still struggling to monetize my business for the first few years. And then I was interviewed on a radio show to an audience of 3 million in the USA. And they
Wow.
asked me to come back and co-host the show. And that led me to what I'm doing today in digital media and PR and media coverage. And the journey has been great. I've been doing it for 2.5 years. When I first started the journey, I knew I could make a success of it, but I didn't realize I would go on to launch my own PR agency, which is TMSP agency, which is a premium media and PR agency, and my own publishing platform, MSP newsglobal.com. And over the last year, it's really created a global impact.
I mean, that's phenomenal. And it's one of those things where you talked about starting off slow on the social media side of stuff. I've always go by views. I don't go by the followers, because I always say you can always unfollow someone. I go, you can always unsubscribe to someone. You can always unlike someone, like, oh, I like this. No, I don't like it. I go, but you can't unview a view. So I said, I'm going to take just the views and just build it from there. So now, and it's only been, like you said, 2.5 years. It's been 2.5 years for us too, doing this. Even though we started back in October 1993, we have 7 million views a day and counting. However, I had to take it outside of California to go to Franklin, Tennessee, not to Nashville, 25 minutes from there, build it up in a garage with a green screen in 2018. And we did 6 shows back to back. Now, I had no idea that they were going to only put up 4 out of those 6 shows. 4 out of those 6 shows, out of the 5 that we have up, 2 of them are at 1.1 million views a day and still going. And they're not on YouTube. So I can identify with what you were talking about of creating something that you didn't know, having the agency. That's phenomenal. My hat goes off to you like that. And then here's the other thing that people don't realize. They don't realize all the hard work that goes into creating these things. Talk about that.
Well, first, I'll go back to what you said about views, and that is the power of social media. That's the power of digital media, radio, articles, etc., etc., and written credibility. It's something that's there for the long term, so it will keep on growing in exposure and visibility. So this is why it's so great for clientele, people in business, to spotlight themselves on podcasts, on radio, on articles, because it's there and it's a great footprint for them to keep their brand reputation and brand credibility, which leads to building trust, and that leads to attracting clients. Also, the Google footprint is really phenomenal for getting this kind of coverage. Now, I've backtracked a little bit, so just ask me the question you just asked me to elaborate on. The hard work that goes behind it. It's a lot of work. People only see the nice graphics. They only see the nice show. What they don't see behind scenes is the uploading of content, the editing of content, the in between with clients, making sure that their articles or coverage is in the correct way that they want it to go. Talking to your team about the projects that you're working on. So I've got 3 writers, a copywriter, a VA, graphics, and I still need more support, actually, Brian, because it's scaling now, and people don't see the hard work and sweat that goes behind it. So when people see a laptop lifestyle on social media, it really isn't like that for me. I work long hours. Yes, I've got a great lifestyle and it's better than having a 9 to 5, but I do work very, very hard, and there's a lot of hours, a lot of sweat, and a lot of hard work that goes into it. And I'm sure you know that too, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I tell everybody, as far as I know, right up until beginning of 2020, I was the only minority. I'm 60, who's not married, doesn't have any kids, who was working on New Year's, Christmas Eve, the day after Black Friday, holiday. No matter what holiday I was working because
Yes.
knew other people weren't working. And I know you could relate to that. I said, everybody's having a holiday. Well, I don't have a family where I am in California. My family's 3,000 miles away. And then my friends are my family, and my family is my acquaintance. So I said, you know what? I'm going to keep working. I don't have to do this for a long time, but I saw the results. And I said, and they were coming. And the more I was pushing stuff on our YouTube channel, because I needed to get over that million hump, and we did. And I was telling them back in July of last year, 2020. Last year was our best year ever because we were working it. We saw everything coming. We were prepared for it. And I said, if you weren't prepared for it and you weren't listening to what we were doing, sort of like what you've created, then you're going to be left out. This platform, telecommunications, is not going anywhere. Cleaning service is not going anywhere. I was telling Regal Theaters, the biggest movie chain in the United States, that you needed to change your formats around. You aren't prepared for what's coming. I was telling Norwegian Cruise of 2018 what was going on. One of my co-hosts, the 13 that I have, all women, was on one of the cruise ships that made it back in time as a performer. Now she started doing this. Now, May 13th will be a year that she's been doing Zoom interviews. She almost has 100,000 views just by being on our shows. That's just Zoom. And she's in Tennessee because she couldn't work. So I was giving her what money I could to her just to keep her energized. And if we hadn't done what we had done, she would have gone a little bit wacky because that was her livelihood. So our job, and again, I love what you created. I love what you're doing, is to help those people that needed help. Now that I know who you are, I put the name to the face. You got me for life. So when I want to help someone, I don't do a one and done. Eileen will tell you this. Jimmy will tell you this. A bunch of our new friends out of the UK, I like them because of their stories. And I'm sure you do the same thing.
Yes, and firstly, Brian, you don't look 60. I'm 40 this year in September. It's a big one for me. And I can relate to what you have just said because this Easter, which has only just happened, I had launched a big collaboration article project for the Easter holidays called New Beginnings and Transformation from World-Class Business Change Makers. So there's around 9 experts on the article. We've got press release. We do an ads campaign around the article. So I was having people message me saying, I hope you're having a great Easter weekend. And they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm working. So I totally relate to it.
I know the same thing. And so for me, holidays are foreign because normally my getaway would be I could go to the movies for 2 hours or 4 hours. I see a double bill, and that would be my getaway. That's the only time I could turn my phone away and just watch a movie. Obviously, last year we couldn't do that, but again, I saw it coming. I have not been back to the movies yet. First of all, they haven't had anything big coming out, but it's also not ready yet. And I've been talking to my friends daily, weekly, monthly. Are you ready to go back to the movies? And none of them say, not yet. They're just not sure. So this, again, streaming services, as you know, it's not going away. You're going to have more and more.
Definitely not.
And the internet was never built to have this many people on it, you know?
It's definitely not going anywhere. And like you mentioned, the pandemic hit last March. I was due to go to Toronto and have lunch and speak on the same stage. Not speak, sorry. I was having lunch and photos with Grant Cardone and Kevin Hart. So I'd got like a platinum ticket that got cancelled. But at that time, I launched MSPnewsglobal.com and I launched TMSP agency. And so I had my best year. So even though it has had a lot of negativity, and I understand people have lost jobs and people have lost their workplaces, I did have one of my best years yet, but I also worked harder than I've ever worked as well. And like you mentioned, digital media, streaming, radio, podcast, written credibility, it's not going anywhere. In fact, it's really, really important that people are visible in these places so that they stand out from the crowd.
Absolutely. what are one of the things that you want to, for the people that may not know, especially some people in the US or some people in different parts around the world, what's the brand message that you really want to get out? Because you might not be able to speak for a while. And again, this format is not going away. So I felt bad for a lot of the speakers. And I said they weren't prepared. One of my main co-hosts, Katerina Kazayas, is a world-renowned speaker. And I kept telling her, going back to 2018 when I chose her, Katerina, you got to change everything around. I want you to be that correspondent who travels around the world speaking on behalf of what we're creating for those people. Though that I've always said this, your voice is going to be the voice that gives to the voiceless. That was the mark that I put on her. I didn't know she was following you. I can't wait to tell her afterwards that I was talking to you, because she'll go,
What's her name again?
Katerina Kazayas.
And
it is one of those things where a lot of the speakers were caught off guard. A lot of them, I don't think they're going to be able to recover from this. They don't know how to deal with it.
yes, that is very, very true, Brian. A lot of very, very well-known keynote speakers that weren't used to using social media and being on podcasts and using all this digital media, they struggled because they were used to going to events, and obviously all the events stopped. So I know that really did affect a lot of speakers, but at the same time, you saw a lot of them pivoting and changing direction, and now their business is a lot more digitalized as well.
Do you feel a lot more of the speaking aspect of things? Because travel, the Europeans are starting to travel depending who you are. If you've had the vaccine, some people don't believe in it. Some people want to wait. How do you see this stuff coming of what you guys are seeing?
I love digital, and I was doing it a long time before the pandemic hit, and I knew the power of it then. I think it's so much more powerful now. But I am also a people person, Brian, and I absolutely love going to seminars, events. I love speaking on stage, and I love human connection. So for me, it's getting to that point now where I can't wait to come out to the USA in around September, August time. And I'm also going to the event in Canada with Grant Cardone, where I'll get photos and lunch with him. That's coming up at the end of the year or early beginning of the year. So for me, I do love digital, and that's my strength and that's my comfort spot. But I also love speaking, and that is a real passion of mine. In the UK here, I speak in schools around bullying, drug awareness, mental health, body image issues, and sexuality, all problems that I have overcome in my own life. And that is my way of serving and giving back. And whenever I'm at entrepreneurship events and conferences, I always share my story of being a severe drug addict to crack cocaine and heroin, collapsing and dying from drug use, being heavily bullied at school, and to how I stepped into my brilliance and turned my life around. I feel that's my service, to show people that no matter of your past or present circumstances, you can create any future reality that you would like to create with positive, empowering belief systems, making better choices, repetition, taking action. Any future reality can be created.
I love the fact of anti-bullying, whether it's LGBT, all those things are very, very important. And that's one of the reasons why I ended up on a woman's channel, Worldwide TV Network and Women on TV, because of my co-host. And again, I go by the effect of cause and effect. The more good causes you make, all those great effects will come back to you. It's a simple process. That doesn't mean it's simple to always do every day. And I do believe in world peace. It took me 16 years to believe in that. So that's one of the things that I really champion. We can't be hurting our fellow, he or she human beings, because we all need each other. We need bees, we need trees, and we need a clean sea. Without those three elements, we're not going to make it. And this is why
Yes. Oneness, Brian. We're all part of the same world. We're all on the same planet. And I do think there is a slight shift. There'll always be some negativity and
Yeah.
people not following the same path as what we're on. But I think there's been a great shift for the greater good of the world and world peace. And I do feel that it's a step in the right direction. More people are turning to collaboration, looking out for each other. People are more connected now than they have ever been. Even though we have been in lockdown,
Yeah.
we are more connected now than ever. So I think we're in the right direction of moving forwards to a better harmonic world.
What do you see happening between now and the end of the year? Because I've been telling a lot of musicians, this is your time. People want to see and listen to music. So anytime after October, November, depending where you live, you better, you only got like 2.5 months to get everything going, because during the lockdown, you should have been writing those songs, writing those books, preparing for your future speeches, shows, everything, because you got about a couple weeks left and everything is a go, a slow safety go, but it's a go. What would you be telling the audience out there? What are you telling your employees?
Like you mentioned, I think it's still going to be a slow process. So I
Yeah.
don't think it will be in the next couple of months, but I do see light at the end of the tunnel. And I think by the end of the year,
Yeah.
travel will start to become good again, so we can travel where we want to. I feel events will all start coming back. Like you mentioned, concerts, music, and people need to get ready, especially entrepreneurs, people who speak on stage, musicians, creatives. We need to be prepared for that because people are going to want it and it's going to be busier than ever. That's what I see. I see people just packing out stadiums, Brian. So I would say prepare now to be busy
Exactly.
and be prepared.
Exactly. I mean, it's interesting. So I started my Zoom interviews April 2nd of last year. So you are number 296. So it's been a year and 3 days. Actually, yes, I was here. Yes, a year and 4 days. That's just that. That's not counting our in studio interviews, which we've done 17 on our new platforms, 220 outlets around the world at every Tuesday night live. And we got to have you on that coming up, because that I look forward to that. I want the girls to hear your message and what you created and what you're doing, especially on the anti-bullying side of stuff, because that's so important, whether it's online or even in person. And then, our studio in Los Angeles, it never stopped. We built it during COVID because, again, I saw all this coming. So we built it up to have nothing in our circle. People got there. We had our testing already at the door. We've had our hand sanitizers for 5 years that I've been promoting in Lipto, one of the best in the world that no one ever heard of. Only 4 ingredients in it, no chemicals. We have the restroom kits. I wish I had one on me to show you. They're first responders now. I chose them all in 2017. That's how prepared we were. So we've just busted off. So our goal is to help those people who were caught off guard, to help them and hear their stories, because as you know, everybody's got a good story to tell.
I think as well, we need a lot more love and compassion in business because there are a lot of people struggling and
Right.
lots of people out of jobs. Businesses gone out of business, and I feel more love in business will help to heal the world so that everyone can thrive.
Give your social media links for everybody can pay attention to what's going on with you guys.
So if anyone would like to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, it's at Mark Pooler1. That's at Mark with a K, Pooler, and the number one, at Mark Pooler1. If they want to follow me on Facebook, it's Mark Stephen Pooler Business, Mark Stephen Pooler Business, and the Stephen is with a PH, to make it easy for everyone, Brian, because I know that's hard for people to remember. They can simply go to www.contactmark.me. That's contactmark.me, All my social media handles are at contactmark.me. And I also offer a free PR consultation. So if anyone would like to get seen, noticed, and heard with worldwide digital media, they can go to contactmark.me and schedule a free Zoom get together, and we will have a coffee chat over Zoom as well.
I want to do that. I'm going to bring a couple girls on, my co-hosts on with us, if that's okay.
You can definitely. I look forward to that.
Talk about what was important when it comes to the speaking now. How do you see the speaking changing? What's your point of view between now and the end of the year? Because you are right. We're both on the same level of it's going to take until after November, but next year everything will be almost back to the way it be in a still safe environment. We still have to do everything correctly, slowly, but it's starting to move.
I think at first it probably will be a little bit different what we're used to. So there might be some kind of spacing in the audiences so that people are socially distanced. There may be mask wearing, who knows, with people being vaccinated. It said on our news today, we're close to getting herd immunity because of all the vaccinations that are going around. I think it could become a little competitive, especially in the keynote speaker circuit, the more paid speaking gigs. I think that could become a little competitive because obviously there's going to be a lot of events coming up and lots of people, but there will only be limited spaces for a certain amount of speakers. That doesn't worry me too much because I have an abundance mindset, and I am honoured when people ask me to speak on any kind of platform as long as it's in resonance with my business and my values. But I do think it could become a little competitive, Brian. I don't know what you feel about that.
No, I feel the exact same way. And I remember telling Katarina when I met her, because she's such a great speaker. And I go, you speak for me in the future, because I'm going to be busy behind the scenes doing stuff. I want you girls to shine. But also, I look at it this way, and I learned this from Hugh Hefner. You guys go out to do that. Let me be the wizard behind the green curtain, putting everything together. I want your individual brands to grow. And that's the more part on movie reviews, because when I created it in October of 1993, I always knew the more was going to be important, but I didn't know really what the more was going to be. I knew it was going to be about fitness and fashion and sports and stuff like that, but I didn't have those contents per se. And as you were saying, I was the small guy who was never syndicated. I just knew I was going to outlast everybody. That's the one thing I knew. They would always say when we were doing interviews, say with a Sean Connery, oh, you're not syndicated, we can't allow you in. But I'm like, but I know it's filmology. I just know everything that's coming out, so why can't I? So a lot of people started, they either felt sorry for me or they started to like me. I didn't ask anything gossipy or anything like that. And I think that's why they allowed me in. And that's when I saw how everything was going, the unwritten rules, I learned to adapt and adjust to that change. It's the same thing that we're doing now. And I tell people, if you can adapt and adjust to this change, you will make it, because if you don't, your business depends on it and your life, if not both. And I want to see people make it.
I resonate with a lot of that, Brian, because when I first started out as a speaker, I used to want to be the person on stage with the spotlight. But then when I started media and PR and really spotlighting my clients, I wasn't as worried about being in the spotlight as much, because I got so much reward for seeing my clients in articles, on radio, on platforms. That really does give you a satisfaction. So I resonate with that. But also, you mentioned not being given the opportunity in the beginning, but the determination. It was so like that for me. When I first started, Brian, people that I thought were quite high up, and I hadn't made any kind of name for myself, I was just starting out, they were already trying to knock me down.
Yeah.
And I'm such a loving person, honest, a nice heart. And I used to think, why are they doing this to me? And I think it was because they may have seen the light inside of me, and they were trying to just hold back my journey. I wasn't great in the beginning. I started off, graphics weren't great. My show, I was just learning as I went along. But I think because of who I am, and I'm a good networker and I've got great contacts, I have just kept going and kept going. And that's all you need to do. It doesn't matter if you don't have the skills in the beginning. Determination and consistency and coming from a good place will get you far. And I really resonate with what you have just said.
Yeah, it is true. And it's one of the things, again, that's one of the reasons why I never got married. I didn't want to be another black guy who's got 2.5 kids and, married and divorced twice. I didn't want to be that guy. And in the world of entertainment, I saw this. I'm like, I don't want to be that. So I said, if I find that one person, it's going to be because we have energy and we connect. And she can't be jealous because all my co-hosts are women. And I want to make sure that they all fit because we all like each other. We truly like each other. And it's fun. We can have small little disagreements, but it's about bettering everything because I want, if I find eyelashes or makeup, well, I can't wear them. It's for, but I want to make sure that they're happy with that. Exactly. So I'm always finding these things. I'm like, this smells good. Do you like this? Because if you like it, then I'll choose it. They chose the vodka. We the old gifting suite, which is what I miss. We would go out. None of us would meet the same people. And then they go, Brian, we got to have this person on the show. Or we got to have this product. I'm like, why do you like it? If you like it, then let's go get it then. And that's how we started everything. And we still do that to this day.
I like it. And my whole life, because I was bullied when I was younger about being gay before I knew my own sexuality, I have always been surrounded by women. I'm also surrounded by lots of successful men now, but I have always resonated and done lots of things with women at school. Women were always my friends. And yeah, I can totally resonate with what you're saying, Brian.
There's one thing you talked about, and I'm just starting to talk about these things. You talked about it took you a long time before you got paid. I can relate to that because I was doing interviews for 10 years before I got paid, and nobody knew that. So I was doing it for the love of just being there. And I till this day, I never turn an interview down. Hey, Brian, you want to interview some? Sure. And the reason why I say yes all the time is because I remember certain people starting off who are major celebrities now. They weren't anybody then, like you and I first started. And they, no, I can't sell that to anybody. I'm like, what's selling got to do? They got a story to tell. You haven't heard it yet. And then all those people that I took a chance on are major people now. But they never forgot that person took the time out. I wanted to be that guy.
Yes, I'm very, very much like you, Brian. And it took me a while to monetize my business, and I would say yes to everything. And that's why it's important that when you do start off into social media entrepreneurship, anything can be packaged up as a product, and any skill can be made into a product, but you do have to grow in confidence and learn sales skills and have a good mindset. So it took me a while to get good at selling and feeling comfortable to ask for money. But sometimes you do have to grow into the person that you want to become. So even though I didn't get paid in the beginning, I feel that was part of my journey. And
Yes.
Looking back, that's what's got me to where I am today.
You talk about that aspect. I was looking in my old phone. People used to laugh at me because I couldn't afford a new iPhone. And I'm like, well, I don't really want a new phone. I just want stuff that I need. I don't need any extra. I just want stuff that I need because I'd rather help the people that don't have anything. And I remember influencers who I chose. This is 3 years ago. The influencers that I chose, in our movie reviews and more, we have 97 million followers in my social media network. They weren't mine. They were the people I chose who believed in the stuff that we were doing. From that, we were able to grow that way. And then I started to adapt to the views. Now, those influencers, I've caught up and past those influencers, and that blows my mind. And I was looking at the old phone literally 2 nights ago at 2 West Coast time in the morning. I'm like, wow, on April 16, 2019, we reached our first million views. June 18 at our first panel with me and 3 of the girls, we had 2 million views now. And I'm like, wow. And I'm going back, listening, looking, watching the history, and like, wow, these people have not moved on 1 million followers or 250,000 followers, but we surpassed them on our views. And you were right. People will still come and click on those views, but people will always unfollow after a while if you're not moving anything. And that's one reason why I changed that around. And I know you could relate to that because it makes sense, doesn't it?
It definitely makes sense. And it's important to connect the dots backwards as well, because we're all looking to create more success in our futures. And sometimes you can think, is this going to happen? But you only have to connect the dots backwards to see that 2 years ago, this is exactly what I was wanting to create. So look backwards and realize that you can project into the future and create any future you would like.
We got about 5 minutes left. Talk about this on analyzing and helping people. If people were to come to you who didn't know who you are, they will know now. What's your mode of how you would mold them to have their business grow, or say their social media grow? Because, it's hard to be an influencer on Instagram now. It's hard to be on Twitter because they kept changing everything around. And that's one reason why I wasn't going that way. Why let a corporation dictate of what I can't do when I could turn around and take the content that I have and make it grow a different way?
So the way I help my clients to grow their profiles, Brian, advertising and self-promotion isn't as effective as third-party credibility and endorsements. So I do a lot of written credibility articles, and I have hundreds of platforms to choose from where I would publish written credibility articles. They're also, my clients are piggybacking off really well established names. So I can get them into places like Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS, so they can take advantage of their logos on their marketing, branding and website as seen on Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS. I also expert position my clients on radio. So they're the guest on the show, they're the expert, and we talk about their product, their service, and how they help their clients. My radio show is called Brilliance Business, and it's on the Business Innovators Radio Network, which is a USA radio network. I also have a web TV streaming show as well, which goes out to millions of homes. It's on web TV, E360 TV network under Fresh Takes. It also streams on MSP newsglobal.com. It goes to Apple TV, Fire TV, Android TV, Roku. Again, I spotlight them and get them really great reach so that they can really, really reach audiences that they haven't reached before. I do press and major publication features and also digital front covers of magazines to show them on the cover of MSP News Global. What this does, Brian, it gives my clients marketing tools to share on all of those social media platforms with their email list, put it on their website. So it really builds their exposure, their credibility, their authority. That leads to building trust, that will lead to attracting clients. It heavily gets them onto page 1 of Google News, and it also gives them a YouTube presence as well. So this is what I do for my clients. I help them to get seen, noticed and heard. And as previously previously mentioned, if there is anyone out there wanting to reach a wider audience and get seen, noticed and heard, they can go and book a free PR strategy call at www.contactmark.me.
That's incredible. Mark, do you get any sleep?
I have just started with a personal trainer to transform my body over 8 to 12 weeks. I've never been to the gym before. I'm 3 weeks in. I've lost 6 pounds and I'm on my 3rd week of training. So I'm eating better than I've ever ate before, really healthy. I'm working out 4 times a week, only having coffee until 4 p.m. And also I'm sleeping better than I've ever slept and I've got more energy. So yes, the answer to your question, I do sleep, but I also work really, really hard, as we've previously discussed.
You know what it is, because you changed your eating habits around it in fitness. I know exactly who's going to be on the show when we have you on. Terry Marie, bikini fitness model. My number one co-host, who has over 3 million views by herself just by being on the shows. Linda Steele was the number one trainer in the United States, and she has macro-made meals out of Chicago. And then Victoria Renee Hand, which is the Elvis Presley brand, St. Jude's Hospital, factored out of Tennessee, even though she lives in Los Angeles. Those are the 3 girls, and maybe Stasha Rumos out of Miami. So I already know the 4 girls are going to be on with us when we interview you, because you're going to like what they have to say, but they're going to like hearing what you have to offer the world, or what you guys are already doing.
Well, Brian, I'm really grateful of the opportunity of being your guest today, and I'd like to invite you onto my Brilliance Business TV web show as well, and we'll put it out as a radio episode as well. So do get onto my calendar at contactmark.me and we'll get that all scheduled in. We'll have a Zoom and we'll get some dates booked in so that you can come on my TV show as well.
I'm there. I never say no, Mark. Hey, like you said, and we both know, because it sounds like we both went through a lot of the same experiences. My partner is transgender, so I always say it's always about gender empowerment. I learned a lot of these things from being around my female friends. I would put it this way: I would always be their designated driver. I didn't want to hear the story that they went out and got raped or bullied or kidnapped. I wanted to make sure that my friends were safe. And I always say, I always want to leave them better than when I found them. That's always the model of what we do for Movie Reviews and More. And with that, Mark Stephen Pooler, I want to thank you for all the stuff that you have. Give your social media websites one more time, because you can never say it enough.
Go to www.contactmark.me. All my social media platforms are all in one place. That's contactmark.me. And Brian, thank you once again. I've really, really enjoyed the conversation today. I could carry on all day with you, so I really appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, and with that, I have to always say this: if you see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours, because the world needs it. I'm Brian Sebastian. This is Movie Reviews and More. Mark, this is not the last time they're going to be talking. I got 13 other co-hosts. They're all women you need to meet. We will see you next week, and thank you for